All right, it has been a long time coming. We are back now. Welcome back to the Reckless Recover podcast. Today, I have a very special guest with me, and her name is Kayla. And Kayla has a very powerful story. She's gone through a whole lot, and she's gone through hell and back to obtain her recovery today. And let's start off. Just tell me a little bit about yourself, Kayla. Where are you from, and how'd you get here?
I'm Kayla. I am from North Carolina. I've been out here probably for about 8 years. Um, I originally came out here from treatment because I wanted to get sober. Um, I was struggling on the streets, and I wanted a way out. So I decided to come to California. I
Okay.
thought that maybe I could find some relief here. All right. So originally, I had a friend hit me up that told me that they could get me in a treatment center. They could get me insurance, and they could get me some cash flow whenever I got here too.
Damn.
And at the time, I was like in a hotel room. I was about to have to check out at 11. It was 9 a.m. I had no idea what I was gonna do or where I was gonna go. I had no money. I was dope sick. And I was like, absolutely, sign me up. And I was like, wow, this is going to be a great opportunity.
So you were body brokered.
Yeah, I had no idea that that's what it was whenever it
Of course.
happened.
Yeah.
I was like, I just thought it was too good to be true. I
Mhm.
honestly thought that I was being trafficked possibly, but I was so dope sick, I didn't care.
Yeah. Well, that's the biggest issue with body brokering is that you're preying on vulnerable addicts who are in terrible, terrible places who want a way out. You offer them a plane ticket to California, a nice stay at a nice house, and making money. Any addict who's if that was offered to me when I was in my active addiction, I would have said yes 10 times, right? So how does it affect your view on it now after you have recovery now, you have substantial time sober and clean? How do you view that stuff now that you're on the other side of it?
I think it's really sick. And
Yeah.
I think preying on vulnerable people just to make a dollar is really messed up. And it's like they are funding other people's addictions and profiting off that, not caring like how that's going to affect the individual. I can say for myself, I was trapped in that cycle for years whenever I first got out here because I didn't think that I was worth anything more than a policy number. And I thought that I could
Mhm.
never make a living out here because everything's so expensive
Mhm.
and that like I would never be able to do it on my own. So like I would get sober, go to these treatment centers, get paid, get sober for a little while, then get to about 75, 80 days and be like, okay, well, I need to relapse so that way I can go do it all over again. So that way I
Mhm.
can get some more money to live. I had no idea that like I was capable of getting and staying sober because like I thought that like that was the only way that I could do it.
Mm. Yeah, because there's people out there who truly believe, like in their head and in their heart, they truly believe that they're doing like good work by doing this stuff. And you said it perfectly that, you know, it's not it's not actually helping you, it's taking advantage of people who are vulnerable, right? There's people out there who are even sober now who say if they hadn't have done that, they would have died. And it's a really it to me, it's really sad, it's tragic because you're just in my head, that's just giving them more reasons to keep doing it when it's you can't start with the wrong to make it right. You can't force that thing that's dark and kind of twisted. It
Yeah.
is twisted. You can't start with that and then like makeshift it into something good, right?
Right.
Now, God can do something, right? Our higher power can turn something bad into good, right?
Hmm.
But it all starts with that initial, right, exchange. And that's really um it's really sucks because a lot of programs out there who are doing it for all the right reasons, who do the next right thing, who really care about their patients, they're thrown in this category, right? Where our communities, the houses that the programs use, the environments that they're in are all kind of judged under the same umbrella, right?
Hmm.
Like the Orange County Register came out with an article a couple weeks ago about Pablo. right? Which
Yes.
we all know him. We don't know him, but we know of him, right? Terrible, terrible person. I
Yes.
mean, the stuff that we hear from our sponsees, from clients, right, that we've worked with, and the actions that he has, and the fact that he is claiming to try to help people. We know the truth and we know the back end of everything. It's disgusting. I
Yeah.
mean, it's awful. So, um, we're put in the same category as that place sometimes, and that sucks, right? Because we're trying to make a difference,
Mhm.
and then we're 10 steps backward when it comes to brokering. And unfortunately, most of us who are doing it for the right reasons want to get rid of it altogether. That kind of takes a team effort. So, thanks for sharing that with us.
And I think it's so unfortunate also, like, the consequence of this, and I don't think the people that are doing the payouts and that are getting paid realize this, but these are people's lives at stake. Like, I've seen so many people die that I was,
Yep.
like, in and out of treatment with,
Hmm.
doing this thing with, because, like, you give an addict like 3 to 5 grand, and you're like, "Come back whenever you're done." A lot of them 'em don't make it back,
Totally.
and these people don't care about your life, they don't care, they don't really want you to stay sober, because if you stay sober, then they're not gonna get, another check, and it's so
Yeah.
sad.
I knew, when I used to be a group facilitator full time, right? So I'd be speaking at different programs and playing music, right? My music groups. And I loved that job so much. But I would get asked to come to a program, speak there, or run groups. And this one time I was in a facility I wasn't really familiar with. They had hired me, and I think it was my third group there, and I was getting this really eerie feeling. And where it was uncomfortable showing up. I loved the clients, and that's the thing, right? Despite the circumstances of them getting there, they belong there. And
100%, yeah.
that's what's sad because you removed that from them,
Mhm.
where it's not really about them getting help. You've given them other incentives, and it removes this opportunity for them to really face themselves and face their issue, and you're giving them a way out that totally feeds into their alcoholism and their addiction, right? I went into this group, like I said, I had so much anxiety when I'd go run this group. I couldn't tell you why. And I just felt compelled in the middle of the group. I just said, "Hey, um, just for me doing my due diligence and checking in on you guys, if you guys could like close your eyes for a second and just raise your hand if you were either paid to be here or given incentive to be here besides your recovery, besides you getting help." And every single client in the group raised their hand.
Mm.
And I packed up my guitar and I kind of gave them, I just told them, I can't be a part of this. And um I told them all I loved them and I care about them and I hope that they find a life happy, joyous, and free. And I left. And at the time, I had a few other facilitators I had referred there,
Mhm.
and I told them all that we were leaving, and we all left. And that place got shut down probably a few months after we all reported the program. And it was just sad because it was a place full of people that wanted help or that needed help.
Yeah.
And like I said, I really think that it comes down to when people stoop down to that level and those evil actions occur and those transactions happen, you take the want for them to go to treatment away, right? And you take the want for them to, like, actually, like you said, see yourself in a light that you've never seen yourself in before, because you're giving all these opportunities to just say fuck it, or just say I'm getting out of here, I'm going to go back to what I've always done, I could do this all over again. And I've always said that for an addict, the most lethal thing, more than fentanyl, more than pancreatic issues with alcohol, more than benzos, more than anything else, I truly believe that for the addict, it's the idea in our head that we have one more time in us. We have one more run in us. And that's the type of thinking that's taken out the most clients that I've worked with, And um there was a girl in a program that passed away, and this wonderful, beautiful young girl who had so much life in her, who I didn't know the ins and outs of her situation specifically with treatment, but she was in and out a lot. I can presume, based off maybe what other people had told me, that she was kind of wrapped in that limbo.
Mhm.
Um, and she was a hairdresser, and I got a phone call from the program letting me know not to come in that day because they had a fatal overdose. And I found out after the fact that that program was involved in that stuff too. And like you said, we've seen so many people who were capable and smart and empathetic for other addicts who could have been so helpful helping other people recover too. They would have been great staff at a program. They would have been a great sponsor. And they were robbed of that opportunity by being influenced and being persuaded by reoccurring treatment episodes and money. And
Yeah.
it's so messed up, and unfortunately we talk a lot about it within our circles, but people don't really, I don't think, truly understand how popular this is still, you know. So going back to you, um was there any specific events or a, a trail of events that happened that led you to using?
Yeah. My father was actually a heroin addict,
Okay.
my whole life. Well, up until I was like 17 years old. Um, I remember like waiting up for him, waiting to hear his truck come in the driveway, and then I could go to sleep because I knew he was home and he was safe. My parents would constantly be arguing and fighting. He would nod out whenever he was doing getting his coffee in the morning. All these things, right? And I saw that, and I would beg him to stop. And I did not comprehend like what was so good about this drug. Like why won't you stop it for me?
Mm.
Like I don't understand. I didn't understand the physical dependence, obviously, because I was a child. So um I made the decision whenever I got old enough I was gonna try it, and because I wanted to see what was so good about this drug that he couldn't stop for me.
Mm.
And also growing up in like a very chaotic household, like I always had everything that like I always had food on the table, a roof over my head. But to a child, a lot of those things were very traumatic,
Mm.
and I think that made me feel very different from my peers. I felt comfortable on a softball field, but everywhere else, I just didn't feel like I really
Mm.
fit in because, like, I was holding this, like, family secret, you know? So once I found drugs and alcohol, I was finally like, I had arrived. I was finally comfortable in my own skin, and I could just, like, go through life without caring. Um, so yeah.
Was like looking back, do you think there was moments when someone could have helped you before things got really bad?
No, people tried to help me.
Mm.
So many people tried to help me. I remember there was this one lady, called Emily Davis. She worked as a guidance counselor at my school, and she got a lady from Alcoholics Anonymous named Kelly King. She is actually like a really good friend of mine. Now she did somewhat of an intervention on me, and tried to help me and tried to like, uh, bring me to Alcoholics Anonymous. Um, but I just was like, you might need that program, but I don't. Like, I'm fine. It didn't matter what anyone was gonna say to me. I turned them down, and I did not think that I had a problem. I thought I had everything under control.
So it's so crazy, right? When you think about when you get sobriety, like when you're able to string some days together and have a program and start getting like promises from AA. Isn't it crazy looking back at all the times and the attempts? Like when we're in our active addiction, we don't think about those as outreached hands. We look at like just distractions and
Right.
we like push. Oh no! I'm still going to my next thing, right? I'm still. It's always the next one, the next one, the next one, and we're not thinking. And then when you get clarity and you get some like you get a spiritual awakening, you look back. I was like, oh man, like my higher power was in pursuit of me this whole time.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
And that's why it's important for listeners to hear about this because they might not even be able to see all the interventions that you know their higher power could have been attempting to rescue them or attempting to intervene in their life, but they're so constantly as addicts when we're actively using, all we think about is the next one, and everything else we just got to push out of the way. So
Mhm.
I think it's cool to hear about stuff like that. When you were using, um, like, what was one of describe what a typical day looked like in your darkest times when you were using out there in the streets.
I'd have to say a typical day would be me waking up with hopefully with a shot to start the day, but
Mhm.
more than likely I
Shot
didn't
of
have
what?
shot of heroin.
Nice.
But more than likely I didn't have a shot of heroin or bar Xanax to start the day with, and I was sick. Then I would swear, all right, today's the day I'm not gonna get high. I'm not gonna use today. Then by 11 a.m., I am like petrified. I have so much anxiety. I'm crawling out of my skin, and I've got to figure something out.
Mm,
So then I proceed to look through my phone and see who is the easiest lick and who I could rob
yeah.
that day. And then
Mm,
I have to come up with a plan. I have to come up with how I'm going to rob them, how I'm going to get one over on them, so that way I can get what they have, so that way I can get well.
mm.
And I did this over and over and over again.
For how long?
Probably 19 years.
That's wild. That's such a long time, Kayla.
Yeah.
Only people understand how much of a miracle you are. The lifetime for an IV heroin user back in our day was significantly longer than it is now because of fentanyl. But you were using fentanyl, weren't you?
I used it a little bit in the end. I started with heroin whenever I was about
Like China?
17. Yeah,
Yeah.
China
Yeah.
White. At 17, we started having it cut with like Fetty
Mhm,
around 2016, 2017, and then
mhm.
all my friends started dropping like flies.
Yeah.
And have overdosed like 18 times. I've been in 2 different comas, for a week long. Like, it's a miracle that, like, I'm alive, you know?
I know. And it's crazy because you know what, Kayla? I know that just based on your life today. Because people like you who've gone through such horrible and gnarly addiction stories like yourself, they have this such a special presence to them when you're around them because you've literally seen it all. And we'll get more into that, but the way people feel around you is like they know you'll never judge them based on anything they say. Around people like you, we know that when we're around you, that we could tell you anything and you will be able to most likely relate to it in one way or another because you've gone through such significant circumstances and you are a miracle. So just I want that on the record because I see it all the time. And I'm telling you, I've known you for 5 years now,
Mhm.
right? And even in your sobriety and even all the time that I've known you, all I've seen is just relentless getting back up, getting in it. And it's like no matter what circumstances you live through, all those things that you went through, you make it worth it now with your life
Absolutely.
and the people you help. So I think it's really awesome. Um, what's one memory that sticks with you even today from back then? Like, is there a certain moment that you kind of go back to in your mind often during that time of the 18 years?
Mm. I'd have to say there was one time whenever I was in the car with my mom. We were in the parking lot of McDonald's, and she was crying.
Were you living in the car with her?
No, I was living on the street,
Okay.
but I was in the car because my mom came pick me up. She got me
Okay.
some food, and then, like, she was dropping me back off, and I was very young at the time. I don't remember how old I was. I think I might have been 17. And she was begging me not to get out of the car and begging me to come home, crying. And I just looked at her dead in the face and said, "I'm not coming home." And I just got out of the car,
Mhm,
and, like, she was so devastated.
mhm,
Like, she was so hurt, and all she wanted to do was help me, and all I wanted to do was get high with the $10 she just gave me. That's all I cared about.
Now, at this specific time when you're that young, was your dad still using? Were your parents separated, or were they still in the same home? Or
My dad was still using at the time. My dad got sober, went to treatment and got sober the day before I turned 18.
oh wow,
So at the time, yeah, and technically, I guess I wasn't on the street. I would like flop from friend to friend because I was in my hometown and
yeah,
I could just couch surf, but like I didn't have a home to call mine, you know?
yeah.
I would just burn everyone, like
Bridge after bridge after
bridge
bridge.
after bridge, couch after couch, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
Just overstay my welcome and then move on to the next couch.
And what was the first time you? Because I know you've been to prison. What was the first time you went to prison? What was your charges? What, how'd you end up there?
Okay. So the first time I went to prison, I got 2 embezzlement charges at 16 from Burger King because I had a gnarly Coke addiction and I was selling Coke and I was doing Coke. I was smoking weed, drinking, all the things. And I wasn't a very good Coke dealer, right? Because you can't really be a Coke dealer if you're doing all the Coke.
And get high on your own supply.
Yeah,
Yep.
exactly.
That's on the Biggie song. I told you 10 Crack Commandments.
Yeah, I didn't listen.
Yeah, number
To
5.
Biggie. Yeah,
Yep. Don't get high on your own supply.
exactly. So even though I was doing that, I would constantly need more money to re-up. So I had this system where I would steal money from my job, not ring certain things up, so that way I could have a good take home at the end of the night, so that way I could re-up every day.
You went to prison, so that was a bunch of money. Did they find out how much money it was?
They didn't find out the exact amount, but the amount that I got charged with was like over $10,000 in 2 months. But it was significantly probably more than that. I don't know what it was, but that's the first charges that I got, and then I proceeded to get more charges, and I couldn't pass a drug test, so that's why I ended up going to prison.
And so, what was there ever a time when you were locked up where you thought to yourself, maybe this is a wake up call, or did you ever even consider? Tell me about that. So,
No.
what like, there was never a time when you're in prison where you thought, man, this is what my life has come to, or were you so consumed by your addiction where it was just like, as soon as I get out of here, I'm back at, or were you getting high in prison?
I was getting high in prison. I was consumed by my addiction. And honestly, like at that time, I was so young. I went to prison for the first time whenever I was 18. I was actually proud of it. I was proud of my charges. I thought I was a little gangster, and I wasn't ratting on people. I was owning my shit. So, like, I thought it was like a Medal of Honor because of the people that I hung around with. Like, that was a big deal. I was a fucking idiot.
What the fuck is up, Orange County? Welcome to Grim Garden Coffee and Plants. Don't forget that. Many of you guys have seen me on Instagram or YouTube for this right here. This is the Reckless Recover channel. That's great. But come on into the new Grim Garden Coffee and Plants, located in Huntington Beach, California. This is a place that I fucking imagined where people can come in and not feel in this like artsy fartsy, I'm better than you coffee shop. This is one of those coffee shops where people have tattoos, people here are kind, people here are considerate of others. And just remember that you can have fast coffee, you can have shit coffee, and you can have great coffee, but you only can pick one. Okay? When you come into the store here, you'll be greeted by, we call them our cult leaders, right? We want you to join our cult, which is our coffee cult, which means that all of our baristas, all of our staff here really believe in the art that they're making. So when you get a coffee or you get a cold brew or you get a Vietnamese iced coffee, there's a lot of hours and times put into the product, okay? There's no judgment zones here. If you want to escape from like the holidays and the politics and all that kind of stuff, or families talking about this or that, this is a place where you can bring a friend, bring a date, come by yourself and sit and study. We have free Wi-Fi here. Also, this is where we're going to be shooting the podcast moving forward for the Reckless Recover. So, the Reckless Recover will now be shot right here, as you can see, and right over here. Okay? We're also going to have a membership here. We want you to join the cult, okay? Grim Garden Coffee. This is the cult where you can get 10% off, 15% off, or you can actually get a subscription with us where you actually don't have to pay when you come in to get your coffee. You pay a monthly subscription, you get a pound of coffee every month. You also get to take a plant home. We are home of some of the most rarest plants in the country. There's plant right over here. Check this out. This plant right here is from the Amazon. This is 16 feet tall, okay? This plant's really special. We take really good care of our plants, and we're doing some really special things moving forward with the space that are gonna blow your mind. So, January 4th, 2026, the grand opening of Grim Garden Coffee and Plants. This is a vision, a brand that I truly believe is going to really reach people and create a really awesome space. So come by, check us out. And yeah, that's all I have. So like now while you're in recovery, like, so now you have this new life. I know you said that prison never really made an impact on you back then while you were going through it. Like it didn't want you to change your life. It didn't encourage you to tell yourself, maybe I should, reach out for help. It wasn't one of those interventions, right? But now that you're sober, looking back on it, is there any part of that story that impacts your recovery today in the present time? Like, for instance, like I think I hear a lot of people talk about prison the same way you do. In the meantime, while you were going through it, it was just a circumstance that you were in. Nothing changed about your mindset. Nothing changed about your obsession of getting high, and nothing. Because in my experience, I see people who go and they get institutionalized, right? They think you'll either go one or two ways. Either you'll get there and you'll get plugged in with an AA thing, and you'll do some work in prison and you'll get sober, or you get high the whole time, or you do things in that behavior. It's never really like a middle ground. It's not like people walk out saying, I've learned my lesson, right?
Yeah.
Which is why I think a large part of our system can be improved in time, right? Because for people who have reoccurring charges for possession, dealing, whatever it might be, the most people we've seen who've been able to attain a life of freedom from addiction, right?
Uh-huh.
They have some type of clinical intervention or some type of, that's why a lot of, drug court supports AA and NA. They see the most impact for addicts and alcoholics through 12-step programs. Right. And so I love it when we hear stories about people who go to prison and find AA, but I also love hearing stories about people who say, no, I was relentless. There was no hope for me from the system. It had to be me at my bottom. So what was that for you? Like, what was the time? You told me that you got brokered out here, right? But what was the moment inside of you, or that moment that they call rock bottom? Some of us call it that. What was your low point where you decided, okay, I'm going to surrender a little bit. I'm going to admit defeat?
So what had happened to me was I was homeless for a period of time out here. It was pretty gnarly because I was like in and out of treatment centers, going to the Vagabond and then to the Star Hotel and Star Inn and all these different. Oh yeah, Sandpiper. Like I was just hopping from hotel to hotel, and I was like using with all these people that didn't really care about me and that I didn't care about them. We were just using each other. And it got to a certain point where I was doing meth with someone, and it went sideways, and I ended up getting sliced in the hand. I severed two tendons and a nerve, and then I got knocked out. And then whenever I woke up the next day, I was like, my arm was bleeding, like my hand was bleeding all the way down, and I was like, I was underneath a car. I was at a car lot, and they wash off the cars, right? In the morning time. Well, they washed me off with the car, and that's how like I woke up. And
you were like under the car hiding, or just seeking?
No, I was knocked out. Like someone had knocked me out. So I woke up under this car, from the dude with the water hose, right?
What?
And I was like, what is happening? Like, I looked down, I looked at my hand, and I was like still somewhat in like of a psychosis,
Yeah.
right? And I like wasn't feeling very good, and I was just like, something's got to give. Like I like, and at that moment, I had a moment of clarity, and it was like I like prayed to God in that moment, like noodle grooving on Harbor Boulevard to like please help me. Like if you're out there and if you're real, please help me.
Mm.
I had been to AA for several years. I just never listened to anything anyone had to say. And I was like, I'm gonna give AA like a valid shot. Like
Mm.
I'm gonna like go to treatment and like give it 1 year. They always said you can do it for a year and then your misery can be refunded at any time, but why not? I had nothing to lose. I had one shoe on. My shirt was halfway ripped off. I had no wallet, no phone, no nothing. Only thing I had was a treatment center's number in my pocket from a friend that had saw me noodling 2 days before.
Mm.
Like, I had absolutely nothing to lose, so I gave it a shot.
So, and then after you did that, is that the last time?
Yeah.
So you've been clean sober since that time?
Yep.
That's awesome. So that moment of clarity, I want to get back to what we talked about earlier, but before I go backwards, what is something, is there any type of advice or any type of, word, if there's someone listening right now who has a family member who's currently homeless on the streets using, or somebody who might be on the streets currently using, they get sent this podcast. Is there any type of message you would want to give them?
Just don't give up. Like, there is hope. There is light at the end of the tunnel. You may not be able to see it right now, but just don't give up on yourself. Because there was many, many times that, like, I wanted to give up, but I kept pushing through. I was, like, relentless. I was like a cockroach that just wouldn't die. Like, I don't
Mm.
know why I was blessed enough to, like, get this thing, but I was, and if, like, I can get sober, anyone can.
And so what are you most proud of today that you have?
Peace of mind.
Peace of mind?
Yeah.
Just a war going up there for like years, huh?
Yeah, it was a constant battle. It was like an itty bitty shitty committee in my head constantly beating me up,
Yeah.
telling me what a piece of shit I was, telling me I
Mhm.
have to get high, I have to get high. And then eventually, like, getting high no longer numbs that little voice out. So then you're getting high, and then the voice becomes louder.
Mm.
And that's whenever it's like, oh, maybe I should do something different because that stops working.
Yeah. God, it's powerful, Kayla. My sponsor calls it the shit manufacturer. It's a machine that only manufactures shit. And that's why I need to have direction and I need to do things differently, right? I
Mm-hmm.
think for anyone listening, the only thing that most of us can do different is do things different, right? It's like I have constantly been in this cycle of chaos my whole life. And it doesn't even need to be revolve around drugs. It's about anything. I burn down everything, right? I use people, I manipulate, I lie, like you said in the beginning, like you were just going through lists of the day before they start about who you can fuck over to get what you need, right? And that
Mm-hmm.
doesn't always have to be um using drugs. That could be just the feeling of uselessness and self-pity that I drowned in every single day that I wanted to cover up.
Mm-hmm.
That's why there's a lot of people out there who are untreated or people who might not be there yet in their addiction and their behaviors are just like that, right? Um, and addiction and alcoholism is a powerful thing. And as we know, the mind is a marvelous mechanism,
Mm-hmm.
right? Um, what does hope look like to you now compared to how it did before when you were using?
Oh.
How does the idea of hope like changed in your life since you've been sober?
Um, I didn't really have much hope whenever I was getting high. Like, there wasn't really. So I just would end up waking up every day, um, hoping to die, not dying, waking up, and then I was just like really miserable. But today, like, I see hope in other people's eyes whenever I see someone get it. Like,
Oh, isn't that the best?
yeah, it's amazing. Or like, and I see hope whenever I see someone whenever they first come in. And they're so beaten and broken, and I see them completely transform in front of my eyes.
Mhm.
It's so amazing to watch, and it's like you can see the lights come on in a way. And like I can't really see it within myself. Like someone else will see your progress before you see it, right? But I see it in other people every day.
If we were on the streets using currently, right, and we'd been like I like there was like tar that came out in the street, and then there was China White, and you said there's a hybrid. If someone came to us and said, "Yeah, there's this new strand, right, came out, or this new cut with this or that," and it's like it's the best. What's our first thought?
Fuck no.
No, our first thought is I gotta try that. If we're in our active addiction,
Oh yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah. Our first thought when we're actively using is like the next thing and the most whatever. That's
Yeah, let
why
me get that.
let me get
Like
that.
a homie just OD'd. Yo, let me try some of
Yeah.
that.
Someone fishes out, you take it and you bounce, right?
Yeah.
That's the rule. I mean,
Yeah.
it's like that's the first thought to an addict's brain if someone falls out next to us,
Yeah,
right?
like, oh,
It's like
that's some
that
good
bag's
stuff.
better than
Yeah.
mine, right?
Mhm.
So what I try to communicate to people who are not in recovery yet, right, is that what we're trying to communicate right now is we're talking about the best high we've ever experienced. Like the best high I've ever experienced. Try not to get emotional, but is when sponsees get their life, not get their life back because they didn't have a life before.
Right.
They get a new life. It's literally transformed. I see guys, I'm talking clicked up, affiliated, 30 years in prison, never known anything about patience and tolerance and kindness. And they only resort to violence when there's conflicts. And they have this new approach where they're just soft and they're generous, they're protective, um, they have empathy, they care, they have compassion for people, right? They've never known these things in their life. They never experienced those feelings. And when they go take like a year chip or they go take any type of milestone, 9 months, 6 months, 3 months, and they go up there and they share their experience about how their life is now completely different. And for you and I who've worked with them or, spent time with them, see them from the very beginning and they get what they have now, that's the high we're talking about.
Yeah.
It's like there is nothing compared to seeing, for me at least, seeing a sponsee get a year sober and speak. I had a sponsee like 2 months ago. I was asked to speak like a main speaker, and I had him come as my 10-minute, and he was mortified. I mean, the whole way there, he just didn't talk at all. He was so scared to share. And I kept telling him, all you gotta do is be honest. All you gotta do is be honest. Share your experience, strength, and hope. Don't focus too much on the past. Focus on the present, and just be honest. And he went up there and was so honest to everyone. The room laughed at the terrible things, right? And it seemed like they rejoiced in all the good, and he let them know that it's possible, just like you did today, that no matter where you come from, no matter how dark it gets, there is a light at the end of the tunnel if you're willing to open your eyes to see it, right? And start making steps forward. And the message I always like to leave on with this podcast is that unfortunately, it's not something that other people can do for us. It's something that we have to do for ourselves. And if there's ever a point, like if there's a message you can leave with people, to encourage them. We're connected with a lot of call centers, a lot of people who are on the phones or text are available on the other line for texting if they need help. We like to encourage people. The first thing you got to do is make that first initial thing, that first initial step. We don't want the experience to come from for everyone the way it did for you, right? Like where you were offered this thing. We don't want that same experience for everyone. We want them to have their own experience. And there's a lot of people out there who are willing and able to help, and they have to reach out for that. And we're here for them. So, what's your last thing you want to say to any listener that's listening?
We do recover. When anyone reaches out for help, someone will be there.
And is there anything you want to say to anybody who's got maybe has a loved one or a family member who has someone in their life that they care and they love that they want to help, but they don't know how to?
I know it's really hard to love an addict or love an alcoholic. Sometimes we love them to death. Because we tend to like want to do everything that we can to like fix them, and we end up and help them, but we end up enabling them. Um, I would have to say that the best thing that was ever done for me was people loved me from a distance, and they allowed me to go through my process, but they didn't hinder it by giving me what I wanted. Like, if I called and asked for help, they would help me as far as like if I needed to go to treatment or if I wanted to go to a detox
Mhm.
or something like that. But if I called and asked for money, or if I was like trying to manipulate them into anything else, they shot me down. And that was the best advice anyone could have ever done.
So they loved you to life, right? There's loving people to death,
Yeah.
there's loving people till death, and there's loving people to life. And the truest form of love comes in the form of the word no,
Yeah.
right? It's saying, because any parent with their child, they want to say them, tell them yes. Yes, I'll get you off the street. Yes, I'll get you a hotel for the night. Yes, I'll loan you $50. Yes, you can go pawn off your Xbox 360 again, right? Those are the things that feel right for them because they love them. But coming from two addicts, the purest form of love sometimes is saying no,
Yeah.
right? And
Absolutely.
I'm also grateful for all the people that told me no, because it made my using runs a lot shorter. And I got when people which is for another podcast, but one of the most common things that keep us sick sometimes are people who won't let us go to our complete rock bottom, right?
Yeah.
So if there's anyone out there right now who has a loved one or is a family member, a parent, maybe it's your parent that's going through it, just know that there's resources for you too. And if you ever need to get in contact with some of those resources local to your area, please DM us on Instagram, Facebook, or reach out to us by email. We're more than happy to volunteer our time to help you find the resources you need for your support too, because it's no joke, right? Kayla, I love the life that you have today. Thank you so much for coming on The Reckless Recoverer. You were reckless in your recovery, and that's why you're able to be here. You had to choose recovery first before anything else, and you had to do it without thinking. So that's
Yeah.
wonderful. Thank you so much for your time, and we love you here.
All right. Thank you. I love you.